Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this evening's webinar and to this presentation. I'd like to just give a brief introduction to the series, at the end of which we have this webinar. This evening's webinar really brings to a close a series of presentations and panel discussions, which started from the 8th of February. We had a panel discussion in the evening of 8th February, and then we had 2 full days of panel discussion and workshops on 9th and 10th February. The theme was shared cultural heritage across the Indian Ocean. All these events, the panel discussions, as well as the workshop presentations, they have been put online. They were held in hybrid mode, and IIC has very kindly either put them on webcast. The 8th evening panel discussion is on webcast, and the workshop and presentations and the other panel discussion on Vadnagar are on IIC's YouTube channel. So if you've missed it, please do take the opportunity, and in case you are interested, it would be great if you could listen to these and respond to them. I really thank the India International Center for its very generous support of the panel discussion, the workshop, and really promoting this theme of shared cultural heritage across the Indian Ocean, which brought together scholars not just from India, but also from Southeast Asia, from Europe, and from the US. This evening, we gratefully acknowledge the support that we have received from Tete at the program office, Mr. Sandeep Biswas, and many of the others. And we really commend them on their professionalism and efficiency. And with these words, I would like to introduce the chairperson this evening. Our chairperson is Dr. Veronica Vadillo. She's a maritime archaeologist who trained at Oxford, at the University of Oxford, and did her PhD there. She now works at the University of Helsinki, Finland. And while at Oxford and during her PhD and postdoctoral work, she spent many years researching boat depictions on the temples at Angkor in Cambodia. Her postdoc project was titled Human-Environment Interactions: The Role of Nomadic Fishing Communities in the Establishment of the Angkor Empire. And in this project, she focused on human-environment interactions in Southeast Asia, and especially the role of nomadic fishing communities in the Mekong River in the development of the Angkor Empire. She informs me that now her new project that she's going to take very soon is on island archaeology, and she now works or has shifted her focus, not quite her focus, but at least the theoretical framework that she's now drawing up is on island archaeology, and particularly the island in the Baltic region. So with those words, I would request Dr. Vadillo to chair this evening's session and to start the proceedings. Dr. Vadillo.
Thank you very much for that introduction, and thank you very much for inviting me. And I would also like to extend my thanks to the India International Center for allowing this to happen. It's been quite a fun event that we had the other day, and I expect this to be no less. Before we start, I want to just highlight how we're going to do this event today. We're going to first hear Dr. Gaur give his talk, and after that we're going to run we'll go through around 1 hour, and then after that we'll start with the Q&A, and the Q&A will go, I will be taking questions from the box that you have in the Q&A. So we're not taking questions from the chat box because this is a different format. It's a webinar format. So please, whatever questions you have, write them on the Q&A, and I will be taking those questions, and then Dr. Gaur will respond. And now I would like to introduce our speaker, Dr. Gaur. Since 1988, Dr. Gaur has been working at the Maritime Archaeology Center for the CSIR, National Institute of Oceanography in Goa, and has actively participated in each expedition organized from this department. His major area of research has been the Gujarat coast. As a maritime archaeologist, he has extensively dived on both coasts of India, besides also in Thailand and also in Sri Lankan waters. He has published over 150 research papers and 5 books, including Maritime Shipwrecks of Goa and Harappan Maritime Legacies of Gujarat. And today he's going to talk about Sikotar Mata, the sea goddess. And the floor is yours, Dr. Gaur. We can't hear you, Dr. Gaur.
At the outset, let me express my sincere thanks to Professor H.P. Ray for providing me an opportunity to share my work with this online method. In fact, it was supposed to be a very small presentation in one of the panel discussion, but somehow there was a problem, and then Professor Ray agreed, and she allowed me to for a full 1 hour lecture online, and for that I'm really thankful to her. It was in 2010 at Kolkata. There was one conference on ports and harbors along the, in Indian Ocean region, from Red Sea to Bay of Bengal, where I met Dr. Ingo Strach. And it was in 2010 November. And I saw his presentation, and after that I informed him. Dr. S.R. Rao had mentioned in his book, while excavating Lothal, he saw a small shrine of Sikotar Mata on the mound of Lothal site. So that I informed him, and in his book he has associated that Sikotar Mata with Socotra Island. That this information I shared with Ingo Strach, and he was really fascinated, and he told me I want to know much more about this one. And when I came back to Goa and I found I got his email, and I shared that information with him. And also subsequently, after 1 or 2 years also, we had a lot of discussion with him. And I have seen in his book, he has mentioned that particular discussion between me and him, which in fact was published in 2012. And finally, we have been working in along this coast, and we found several of such Sikotar Mata temple. And lastly, we saw that even in hinterland region, like site like Vadnagar, we have found one Sikotar Mata, which Abhijit Ambekar has reported. And in fact, he organized one of the meeting with Ingo Strach and myself and a few more people last year in August, where we have decided to work on this particular aspect. Now, when I saw, because for panel discussion 5-10 minutes, it was, this material was okay. But then Professor Ray, she suggested that you can present your work, whatever you have done along the Saurashtra coast. So I thought, okay, I will do entire that whatever work we have carried out in this particular area. So initial few slides will be of this religious aspect, like God and goddesses and navigator, how they are doing this one. But major chunk, second part of the talk will be major our part along the Saurashtra coast, and the last few slides will be of this morphological changes, how what we have noticed. So these three aspects I'm going to talk in this. Now, this actually first reference I'm getting offering of 17 stone anchors at the Bal temple at Ras Samra, dating back to 15th century from the West Asia. And this may be the oldest, what I feel, maybe the oldest remains we have found is some kind of offering to the temple has been made by the navigators. That means there was some thing might have happened, and because of that one, this was done. But the second one is most interesting part, which is still being practiced. This image I have taken from Dhabol. There is a port, an ancient port, now still functioning in Maharashtra coast. And their local people says that there is a temple called Loyleswar. So Loyli is a Marathi word, which means anchor. So when I went and saw inside, there was an anchor of British Admiralty, and it may be around 200 years old, what I can think of right now. And you see the sank part is on just on erected outside, but remaining part is buried in the garbhagriha in that one. And you can see they have put all the this sundur and everything, and they are doing they are worshipping every day. And whenever fisherman is going for launching new boat or whatever that kind of things, they are going to offer here, and then they will venture into the sea. So that is the practice even today. And now the antiquity of this port, you can see that we have found that one stone anchor, definitely it is of a medieval period, early medieval period. So at least you can say that last 700-800 years, this port is functioning. And though presently it is not a major port, but minor port, but still it is in use. Now, this was very, very fascinating, and really it was very rare. I found in Indian subcontinent, I have not seen so far. There are 13 sculptures in one of the taluka in Goa. That taluka is called Sattari taluka. And all these villages from where we have, photographed them, they are along the river Mahadei or down that is called Mandvi river. And you can see boat motifs are there. One of the boat, it is Mahishasur Mardini is there. A few of them, one is local goddess, like you can see standing on the boat. And many of them are goddesses. They are sitting just on the pedestal, and just one leg is on the boat. On the boat, there are many people are shown here. So this is very unique tradition was there, and two of them are still being worshipped. Just to you can see the extreme right hand side. And remaining are fragmented, so fragmented things are not being in use now. Now coming to the Gujarat coast, especially our what is called Sikotar Mata temple. See, all along the coastal area you will see these Harsad Mata also is also sometimes it's called Sikotar Mata. There is a temple near Navi Bandar, Dhara Bandar, Dholera, Vadgam. This is famous. In fact, Vadgam and Swali Point, these also we find mentioned in British period map of 1865, which I have seen. I will show you in later part of this one, where Sikotar Mata temple is mentioned. Now, this is a temple at Vadgam. It is just on estuary of Sabarmati. In fact, if we believe Lothal was a port and ship used to go from the Gulf of Cambay, so this will be the area from where they will be going to the Lothal. So you see at the beginning of the Sabarmati estuary, you are having this Sikotar Mata temple, and then you are going to get at Lothal itself. So when Sikotar Mata temple is on Lothal Mount, that means it is not contemporary to Harappan. Definitely it is later than that. The tradition was maybe of later one. So I mean, after some time also, that area, I mean, they continue to use as a port or as a center for trade and commerce, something that is what it indicates. Now, one Sikotar Mata temple at Dholera, what we have found very interesting, this is also on the coast. There is one object was there, and when I just saw it, it was a lead ingot. Size, you can see this scale is of 25 centimeters, so size is around 20 centimeter in length. And I mean, I thought I will take it, but then priest told, no, we have only one, and they are using for breaking this coconut. This one, because in temple you have to offer, they are offering this coconut to, for breaking that coconut, they are using this ingot. So it is quite handy, one can use easily this one. And this other one is just on the estuary of Narmada. Now here just I'm putting one, these slides I'm showing one, I mean these three are from Gujarat coast, other is from Mangalore coast. Now why I'm showing these things, in Gujarat coast you have high tidal range. Say it, you can say Gulf of Cambay goes up to 11 meter, and many other places 4 to 5 meter you can see very common in Gulf of Kutch. So during high tide, people, I mean, fishermen, they take their boat up to the high water line. And when low tide is there, just boats are resting on the just seabed, and they are just doing their repairing work and unloading, loading, whatever. Then again, whenever highest high tide is there, then they will take it back. Whereas in Mangalore, tidal range is very low, within 1 meter. So if they are taking a bigger boat on the coast, then it will be difficult for them to take it back. So what they are doing, they are making this. I'm talking for traditional fishermen, not now modern one. Now they have already made. I mean, they are going to jetties and all those things. So they earlier they were making these wooden jetties, and they will just put along the jetty, and they will do loading, unloading. But my question was there, say, if someone is going to do after, I mean, everything is just finished, and after 500 years, if I'm going here and see what kind of evidence I will find if this was used as a port or as a jetty, because everything will get destroyed, wood will be, I mean, disintegrated or decomposed, and other things also you will not get. So what kind of an archaeologist will expect evidence from this one? So that is very difficult, because we have been working past say 30 years, and these questions, which area we should call as a port, we should not be, and whether we should expect some kind of structure or not. All these questions always arises. So we started in Gujarat now. So this is a satellite image of Gujarat, and this line drawing, it is of Okhamandal region. So if you see in satellite, this is the area that tip. So in fact, if you will see, there is a connection. Means if you raise half a meter sea level, then this part get disconnected with the rest of the Saurashtra. So why I was interested with this particular thing, because when MS University was Baroda was excavating Nageshwar, they found the similarity of the pottery and other antiquity of Nageshwar with the Kutch and Sindhi Harappan, but not of Saurashtra Harappan or Sorat Harappan or antiquity of Saurashtra. So that was, so I thought if say generally it is believed during Harappan time sea level was higher, so this might be separated from this Saurashtra, and they were having close connection with the Kutch and Sindh area. And here it is a Bet Dwarka island, which was habitated from late Harappan onward, and even still, I will say it is habitated continuously. And then entire this Okhamandal region, there are half a dozen early historic sites, and then remaining village are of a medieval period. So it's from antiquity point of view, it's very important. The region is, there is no agriculture land in this part of land. Two purposes I found, this early or present settler also why they are there. One is there is a temple here also, and Bet Dwarka, so majority of the people associated with that one. Second are fishing people or maritime people, so associated with the maritime activities. So these two type of people even today you can see in this area. Now Dwarka we have started, so you know these are the some of the things which has been mentioned in various our ancient text, where it has been suggested that it was built by reclaiming a land from the sea, 12 yojana land from the sea, and the description of town has been given like this. Now, as I told you, there is a tidal difference is there quite a high, means 4 to 5 meters in this particular area. So during low tide, a lot of area get exposed, and you can see a lot of ancient, I mean old construction you can see in intertidal zone. So one of this circle we have found in that one circular structure. This is 25 centimeter. This is scale. So as per as per I mean what measurement we have made, it is around 2.25 meter in dia, this particular circular structure, and this is made of local limestone. Here the same thing you can say, it is a half circle, that one remaining portion has collapsed. Here again full circle is there, and majority part of major part of this one is under the sediment. Now from intertidal zone itself, we have found stone anchor, plenty of stone anchors, and all the three variety major, these three variety we are getting in the I mean Saurashtra coast. One is down is a triangular type. This kind of invariably you are getting across the Europe and Indian Ocean, Mediterranean Sea, we are getting plenty such kind of. Then this thing are mostly we are getting in Indian Ocean region, that is on the African coast as well as in the Red Sea, and also along the Indian coast, Sri Lanka, and many such places we have reported. And this one is very unique. We have found more on the Saurashtra coast, or we have found in Persian Gulf. So these three things we have found from intertidal zone, which you will see repeated in the next few slides also. Now in Dwarka, when we were working, so after 2-3 years work, we have plotted all the findings. So this is the coast, and here there is Samudnarayan temple, and you see this is the closest is 200 meter, but farthest point will be something like about 900 meter or 1 kilometer, within a kilometer range. But major concentration you will see here. Here these include structures as well as stone anchors. Now this is the site where you will see these floats we have tied to demarcate the underwater structure. And this is Dwarkadish temple and Samudnarayan temple. And then there is a creek is there that is called Gomti Creek. which get flooded during high tide, and during low tide, in fact, people walk across this creek. Now, underwater also we have, you see, look at that, those structure on the, just remember structure what we have found on the coastal area, similar kind of things, but it's collapsed, but semicircle type of structure. So what I believe, they might have been extended from the intertidal zone up to quite far off, up to at least 300 to 400 meters. Just two courses of this structure here are there. There is one block with the L shape, which was joined together with another block. Now here some more structures are there. There is a, you can see here, there is a group, I mean, just fixing together this one. And there are some blocks here, some more blocks here. Here diving is very nice, very good visibility. So we really enjoy diving in this particular area because there is no major discharge of river here. So we don't really get that murky water. So it's a coralline sand. So reflection is very good. So this is one of the structure, just you look at here, partially buried in the sediment. Just now from the same place, like what we have got from intertidal zone, from Dwarka, so far we have estimated 125 stone anchor, and of all the three variety, among them highest are 66 are there. This Indo-Arabia are longer one, this one, and these are something like 35 and 25. Those one also are there. These things. So now one can say why, I mean, how they were using. In fact, this took a lot of time for us to determine whether this is an anchor or not, or something else it was, because when I was going through the literature, we have found that in Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, there are this kind of stones, but those were used for making pillars. You keep one above another one. So those were made as a pillar. So initially we were thinking, I do not know whether there were some architectural things, and finally they got submerged. But what happened, which I will show further on that one, Somnath, we have got 45 such anchors. And along with this, in fact, other anchors also we are finding close to these things. So we rule out that use was at Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. Here, definitely it was related to some marine activity. So there were a lot of discussion with, like Tom Wasmer, who in Australia, who really did a lot of work on this stone anchors. So finally, he also agreed that these may be stone anchors. But still, I'm open on this one. Is something else can be suggested for that, especially this circular. Now moving to other site, that is Bet Dwarka. It is about 30 kilometers north of from Dwarka. It is an island. One has to, with the boat, one has to go 2 kilometers from Okha. One has to cross by the boat. Now, in fact, they are building one bridge. Maybe in a year or so, that may get completed. So one can drive now. But presently, where they are, anchoring their boat along the jetty, we did diving there. And you will be surprised to know that from the same place, we have got these kind of antiquity, this amphora and stone anchors, and also lead anchors we have found. This one, which I will show in the next one. Now, this suggests that particular area is still being used. I mean, if we date these amphora, say 1,500 to 2,000 years. So that means the last 2,000 years still they are using that particular place as an anchoring zone. In Bet Dwarka, we did this excavation. This is an island. Now, this some pottery we have found, which we say it is a Harappan pottery, and this particular bowl, stud handle bowl, which is a specialty of Surat Harappan or Harappan sites of Saurashtra. But one more interesting, we have found this fish hook. This is of copper, and interestingly, you have a barbed point. It is practically the same what kind of presently they are using. So, and upper part is beaten up, so it become broadened. Like today also, they are just tying that thread on top portion, and then they are doing fishing. So when I was inquiring with the this fisherman, they said you can catch, say, up to 10 kilo of fish from this fish hook. And so that means it's, they were really, they have mastered making of fish hook, like which technology we have not so far replaced. Now there are some a few trenches just close to the coast. Just you look at this, is very close to 4 to 5 meters. There was a cliff, so the huge deposit was there. So we have just laid down one trench. We wanted to determine how deep this habitation is there. So we have found with all these habitation that oldest habitation in this particular area comes to say 2nd to 3rd century BC. This was based on this radiocarbon date and also other antiquity, archaeological antiquity. And that particular habitation goes to about 1 meter below the present sea level. So that means what we are trying to say, when habitation has taken place around the island, sea level was lower than the present one. But one more interesting thing was there was one layer little different than the other layers. So one scientist came from Center Earth Science Research from Kerala, and he identified this might be a liquefied material which was generated through the earthquake. So then he says this may be the evidence of earthquake. That was his thing, and he has done dating also to AMS date also we have found from that. Now, these are the typical coastal sites, antiquity from the coastal sites, where you will see variety of cells, dentalium cell, semi-precious stone beads, terracotta beads, shell beads. So all those things we have usually found from Bet Dwarka. Now, being in this National Institute of Oceanography, we have to have a mandate for how marine archaeology can contribute for this oceanography. So here we are using archaeological proxies to determine the size of the island, and we found around 2000 years before that northwest part of the island was say more than double than what today it is. So I've calculated nearly about 40 to 45% this island was bigger than the present one around 2000 years before. From Dwarka, nearly about towards the Saurashtra, when you are coming around 30 kilometers, there is a place called Pindara. There is one group of the temple which are protected by the Archaeological Survey of India, and they are dated to something like 9th, 10th century. And when we were standing just on the coast, we saw some heap of the stone, just this one. It was low tide, so we walked up to that particular place, and we found there is a paving, and paving there was one, yoni was there in that one. So we were surprised if this was the Garbhagriha part of this temple, and perhaps when it was built, sea level was lower, but now once sea level started rising, they have removed that upper part. Somehow this lower part is left out there. Now this is Somnath. I was talking plenty of that circular kind of stones we have found, and in association with the other anchors, we thought this actually in the literature it is mentioned that Dwarka and Somnath are contemporary. So we thought, okay, let us have some kind of investigation at that particular place. So this is the temple. Around 400 meter south west of temple, we have dived, and you will be surprised there were 45 such artifacts we have found. There was a big rock patch. In that rock patch, this kind of anchor we have found. Here, one point is coming, you get where rocky area is there, because they need to have some hiding place or resting place, that kind of thing. So a sheltered place rather, I would say. So Tom Wasmer was also suggesting fishing nets. Now drawing, I cannot. He's saying four poles are putting on the floor, and then they will trap, or that kind of some technique he was explaining. But the number are suggesting too much. I do not know how to. We are getting at say within a 100 meter or 150 meter radius. Now coming, there is a place called Mool Dwarka in Gujarat. There are one is at near Porbandar, and another is at this Kodinar. So, and I have dived all the three places, and antiquity what we have got from offshore region, especially anchor we have found, all of them are similar, suggesting the same date almost. Now, there is a place called Kaj close to the Kodinar. This site was reported in Dr. Rao was excavating in Lothal, and he reported this one as an Harappan site. And there are Harappan stuff, Harappan we have seen, but there is a huge early deposit. We have found one this amphora type of vessel from there, and this is one more similar kind of circular artifact close to this site. This is called Modera. It's around just, you can say, within 500 meter. So we believe this might have, they might have used this one as a port also. Boat will be that side, and then they can though we have explored in that area close to that one, in morphological changes has occurred, so we do not really know exactly where it will be. In the Kodinar itself, Mool Dwarka itself, there is a near the Dwarkadhish temple, there is one structure was there, and they call locally Diva Dandi. Diva Dandi means in Gujarati like a lighthouse. So if that interpretation is correct, then this may be the oldest surviving lighthouse we are getting. And based on the architectural feature, if we compare with the same, because the kind of blocks they are using, the kind of method they have adopted is the same what they have used for that temple. Temple is something like 13th, 14th century CE. So this may be also of the same period. So you see there is a one, mud kind of things is there. Maybe that ball in which they will pour this oil, and in which there will be flame they will be putting. So that is what I feel it may be. This was a funny sight. There was one, actually, whenever we are going in the field, we have to have a lot of contact with the school teachers, especially related to history teacher. So One teacher told me, sir, there is one place called Bhim Ka Khatiya, cots of Bhima, Lord Bhim. I mean, giant personality of Mahabharata Bhima. So initially I was reluctant because such things are, you will listen at several places, but then when you are reaching, you will not find anything. But he requested, then I said, okay, we'll go there. There were 4 these stones similar to what we have made interpretation as an anchor. And we are coming from northern India. If you will see that 4 legs of the cart, and they say they are, legs of the cart, and that those are sticks. They will be putting wooden stick both the sides. So both, leg side and head side will be higher and side one little lower. So they made interpretation this way, but in my view, these are of anchor, and they were never used because they cannot be used such a huge one. The length is 4.5 meter and plus in that, and estimated weight is there nearly about 5 ton, 5,000 kilo. So that was something very peculiar. These anchors were made just for like religious purpose, offering something was there or something else, or really they were doing this devoting to this Mahabharata character Bhima, or I do not know what to make interpretation of these things. And really, as of now, I'm clueless. I have just written one paper, biggest anchors from Mithi Verdi has been reported. So this is what I'm opening to you all also, just to see how those can be dealt with. Now, there is a place called Dharabandar near Jafrabad. Jafrabad is even today also it is a port, fishing port, where a lot of boats are coming, and it's quite a medieval period port that was Jafrabad. But further, upstream of the Jafrabad Creek, we saw Dharabandar. We found mentioned in one of the I think in one of the British explorers' work, we have found this one. And see, there is a jetty well planned, and creek is there, but it has been silted up, and also introduction of bigger boat. These become useless, and also during low tide, boat cannot come. So virtually it is now abandoned. So we believe it may be something like early British period, and but now it is not in use. See, same thing is that there is a place called Mahua. So these were once upon a time jetty and all those things. But a small boat will come and they are anchoring other side, but not at this particular place. And this is not in use now anymore. Now entering to the Bhavnagar. See, this Bhavnagar is very, this Gulf of Cambay is very interesting area. Periplus of Earthen Sea is having total 66 passages from Red Sea to Bay of Bengal, that last they are mentioning. Out of that 66, 29 are devoted to Indian coast, present Indian coast. And in that 29, 9 passages are devoted to this particular Gulf of Cambay, or what they are calling Gulf of Variagaja. So that's very interesting. So, it was such an important thing. So you can see here there is Piram Island, which was supposed to be once upon a time, it was called as a Pirates Island. I had been there. And Ghogha, Hathap, so many sites are there which we know very well. Now, this is what I mentioned just now. the most important things is this tidal range of this particular, it goes up to even 32 feet. In fact, there is one mention for this tide in one of the ancient Indian literature. I think it is a Vishnu and a Markandeya Puran or Matsya Puran, where they are saying 510 angulas. This sea rises during this new moon day and full moon day. So when if you plot, say 1 angle comes to almost 1.75 to 2 centimeter. So if you put that one, it comes to almost 10 meter. So 10 meter almost it goes to very close to present one. But I was surprised. Okay, horizontal expansion one can determine. Okay, from this to this much it has come, but vertical, what mechanism they had to measure this vertical rise of this sea level. So that's a really interesting aspect, which really one has to look into this one. Now, this map is 1856, hydrographic map is there. So where this, you see this Tambe, I mean, Khambat present. Here there is a Bandar, it is written. It is this one. I do not know if it is visible. It is Bandar means that is port. And this is, this is a Sikotar Mata they have written. That is Sikotar Mata. So as early as 1856, we have found this mention of this one. So there was only a small channel. This is the channel which was operational during 1856. So this is a Mahi River which goes up to that side. Now, this is the one photograph we had been to this particular place. So during low tide now, only a few fishermen, they take boat, and during high tide, they will bring it here. And then again, when high tide is there, they will be taking back. So now it is a few miles. So one has to go to see the sea from the present town of the Gulf. But if you see the tradition, I mean, local people, what they say, there is a mosque. Just behind the mosque, earlier they used to go for the Hajj. They are telling say 400 to 500 years before. So that means it was very close to the coast, but no. Now there is a lot of habitation has taken place towards the sea and between the sea and this mosque, Jama Mosque. Now there is one Harappan site, Hanuman Timbo, near on the river of Satrangi. It is just opposite to Padri, that famous Harappan site. This is Sartanpur. In fact, this was an island. During high tide, this become an island. Entire area get, flooded this one. So this become an island. So this might have also served as a port. This is also in Gulf of Cambay only. Now, this is actually this particular one person who is pointing out that lighthouse, this anchor get exposed only once in a month. So I have seen here a tide table and instructed this man, you go to this particular place, Gopnath, this particular place is called. And at this particular time, you will find this, there is one anchor, I need that photograph. So he went and he has taken one photograph. He's just pointing out the lighthouse. It is about 2.5 to 3 kilometers from where he is standing. And that lighthouse is just on the coast. And see, there are boats here. During low tide, they are just on the land. During high tide, these boats comes on the surface. See, these fishing boats, during high tide, they will bring. So what I was talking to you, whether every time we should be looking for some kind of a structure, port structure at every site where we are calling this maybe the port and all those things. That is, these evidence are suggesting is it necessary to have some kind of a systematic structure to say this was a port? Now, in Ghogha, we have explored during lowest low tide. Again, here we have found these stone anchors again, quite a big one. These are very huge. and the pottery that Islamic glazed ware. And these glazed ware, in fact, was manufactured in Cambay only. There is a place called Lakshar Shah. There is one paper was published by MS University Baroda, that Professor K.K. Bhan, who has done a lot of analysis, and then he said this was manufacturing center of this glazed ware, and they were supplying to the rest of the other sites. So perhaps it was from that particular place. Then we got one more stone. This was peculiar stone. Now this is you see there are groove. Here there is a broad one groove, and then this side, all the four side it has a groove. So initially we thought what it could be. Then I went through the literature. We saw this grooving, similar kind of a grooving we have seen in this Japanese, Chinese anchors. They were using this kind of things, but those anchors are elongated, not like this. So I was wondering whether this was just a small piece for a small boat. They must have done like this, and this may be the Chinese, but again there is a question. Chinese never crossed Kollam this side, and they were just transferring their goods from Kollam to other boats. So I do not know that is what exactly we have found one. Maybe someone enthusiastic person, he might have brought one anchor and he must have dropped here. This is at Ghoga. So now here we have also found the evidence of they are manufacturing in intertidal zone itself. Now they get a lot of material, I mean raw material, and just you see unfinished anchors. So some portion is broken while they're doing chiseling, so might have been useless for them, so they have just left like this. One more, this also is, though this is complete block, but there was no perforation or hole we have not observed. So that means this was unfinished one. Now we have just talked this side of the Gulf. Now on the east side of a few sites we have explored. See around Bharot, Chauneswari, Mehgam. These are some of the Harappan early historic, that kind of sites. So just to look at what we have found from there. Now there is a place, actually Sir Rao has at early stage, he has excavated Bhagat Rao, and just look at here, and this is Kim River is there, and Kim River, connecting to the Kim River, there is a one creek, a small creek, which goes up to the site. This is the site. So just you can say it's very close to the creek. So it might have been, might serve as a port. Now, just you look at that creek, a dried one is reaching up to the site here where we have laid down one trench, just very close to this creek. Now, this is actually typically what we get protohistoric or say Harappan pottery from the Saurashtra region from the early phase of this Bhagat, and upper, I mean on top, it is mostly medieval period. So you can see this iron slag and all of this medieval period. And with that one, we have also found this one carnelian bead and chert blade. In Bharuch, just on the bank of Narmada, we saw this as a British period one port, jetty, or harbor, whatever you can say here. So there is a bollard, you see, these things are there. There is a ramp is there here, like this. So series of these bollards are there. So that means boat, I mean, ship or boats were anchored here. But just you see, it is virtually leveled now. So that is this. This story is not very old. I mean, it is just about 150 to 100 years old, you can say, and the area become completely disused. Though there are many other factors. That is one you can say, siltation, and also that siltation used to get flushed out with this what is called during rainy season, but now that water is stopped with this Sardar Sarovar Dam and other. So it's virtually there is, I mean, no flushing from the north. So whatever silt is coming during high tide, so it is just simply depositing there, and then water will go back. So that silt is, we will find a lot in this area. Now here some boat building in the Surat area, Tapi River. So this is also photograph is taken during low tide. So there is just some boat building activity we have recorded in this area. Now one more, we have seen a British period jetty at Swali. In fact, we found this mention of this Swali in many literature, even in Portuguese literature, we find this particular port. Here, in fact, European market used to be here. So some, I mean, when ship will come from Europe, there will be market. So people, I mean, European people who were in Surat and other places, they will have a lot of purchasing or whatever things from this particular place. And you see entire jetty was collapsed. So one pier is just standing, you can see here. Yeah, that's one. Now that was a major part of my this work in that one, but a lot of things I have not included, but that was major part of this one. Now this coming where morphological changes has occurred in this particular things. Now this map was generated sometime 1907 by Severite. So the condition is suggesting during that time, I mean, what was, and he is mentioning this side where our photograph is, I mean, just hindering. 200 years, I mean, 100 years before shoreline in this area. Here also they are saying that the shoreline about 100 years before. So that is one he's suggesting. But you see, next map is quite interesting. Now this, he has prepared this map based on 712 AD, that Arab conquest in the Sindh, where he says that that army was stuck at Debal. Debal was a port during that time. They could not, they wanted to come down, but they could not cross it. So they were halted there. So it is, if you see the description of that one, so it was just run of Kutch was a part of the Arabian Sea, and this Pacham Island and Khadir Bed, where Harappa, this Dholavra is there, was just an island. And also this Kutch was an island, and little run of Kutch was connected with this one. So like this, it was, I mean, if you see, so a lot of area was covered with the sea. Now that drawing of during that time, I mean, 1808, this Sindri fort was there here. And this was something like a drawing of a sketch of that one. But this is of 1869. This happened after 1819 earthquake. That is a famous earthquake called Allahabad earthquake. And it has completely, that Purna river was falling. It was completely blocked, and there was no discharge from that one. And it was virtually sealed from the northern part, any discharge to the run of Kutch. And this Sindri fort also was collapsed. Now virtually it is not visible anything, so much it has collapsed, and it has been leveled completely. So even from satellite image, you don't get anything else now. Now this is what just I mean, I had plotted this Harappan sites, northern part also from, I mean, southern part of little run of Kutch and great run of Kutch. So if you consider these Harappans were, I mean, came as a navigator, then you will get map like this, not a different that, because, but here we see it's quite a bigger one. The region is there, I will suggest, here there is a site called Chara. It was a port when say Gunthali is another site which is early historic sites, so there are songs in Kutch which suggest when Gunthali was at their peak, that Chhara was the port. So based on that one, you see this become a shallow gulf, say during Harappan time. Now here just I wanted to show this. I was working on this eastern margin of Little Run of Kutch. So there is one site, Harappan site near Suva and Kuar. So there is this creek is there, and this is coming right from where? That is from Little Run of Kutch. Yeah, so that was extending to this one. So when we see Nagwada and about more than a dozen sites are there, to justify their presence, one has to say that there was some kind of a shallow sea that at this Little Run of Kutch today. Otherwise, there is no justification why settlement has taken place. And also, from the same place, if you take aerial distance, Vadnagar comes to almost 100 kilometer aerial distance. So you see a lot of this shell artifacts, what we have, they have reported at Vadnagar might have come from this raw material, might have come from the Gulf of Kutch, which is just very close to this one. Now, this map, Professor Ray may be knowing this one. This is from book of Irfan Habib, Geography of Mughal Empire. So this is a little run of Kutch, and this is Gulf of Cambay. There is a village called Shahpur just close to that Nal Sarovar. Here he is writing accessible to boat from the sea. Now, this little run of Kutch, this distance is almost 100 kilometers. And even if you take from here, so this is even bigger than that one. So that means if it was correct, even generally if you geological history you go, that particular Mughal period or when this bit, European power was coming in India, during that time it was little ice age. When sea level has gone down, say half a meter to 1 meter. So we should be expecting lower sea level during that time. But interestingly, you are seeing here, if you go with this reference, higher sea level. So that means here, this is not a story of sea level, it is a subsidence of the land or emergence, or rather opposite emergence of the land, which is quite common in Gujarat area. I think, yeah. Same way that morphological changes, here we were working this map, we have obtained from Porbandar Archive 1865 map of Saurashtra Kathiawad. So present map is showing here some small depression. This is Kindar Kheda site, one Harappan site is there, and this is Kindari Creek and all. But if you look at 1865 map, this Kindar Kheda, this is Kindar Kheda, this was approachable from this creek, Kindari Creek, also from the Porbandar Creek. So that means this has happened recently. And from Kindar Kheda, we have got this stone with the one very fine, deliberated made hole. We suggested this may be an anchor. So if this is my hypothesis is if correct, then a lot of changes has occurred in this particular area also. I think this is the last I could do. I think I finished much before the time, and I will be happy to have some query. So I think I will now stop sharing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Gaur. It was such a wealth of knowledge that you've shared with us. Thank you so much for that. I'm waiting for some questions to come up from the Q&A, as I mentioned before. Yes, we already have one. That's excellent. So just type your questions there, and I will be taking them and presenting them to Dr. Gaur. At first, I'm going to give them a little bit more time to pop up the questions and perhaps make ones of my own. At the beginning, you talked a little bit about the goddesses on the boat. I was wondering whether there are any specific attributions of these goddesses that we may know a little bit more about.
One thing just I wanted to, because I have one full paper on that one. I will share you at later stage, but let me tell you, there is these are not prime gods. I mean, main god. These are not main deities of that one. So they are just outside of the village. Most of the temples are outside of the village, and sometime I've seen even present condition I'm talking. Priest will go in alternate days also. So he will go, he will put something, this kind of things. But associated with these things, there are two villages are there in that area. I found one village called as a Bondir. Bondir is a word. I will say it is coming from Bandar. Bandar is again a port. And now Nelly means boat. In Sanskrit, now means boat. That means that area was something like serving as a port also for a small boat. Maybe some maritime community, they were residing in that area, and they may be worshipping these goddesses and all. Because we wanted to shift these sculpture to the museum, but local people resisted. They said, no, we don't want to give away from here. But we are trying at least if we can get a few of them. And interestingly, one we get a standing figure of goddess that is well defined as a Mahishasur Mardani, and they are variously dated. One of them is having Kadamba. Here there was one Kadamba dynasty which ruled, say, from 10th century or from 9th century up to 13th century. So one of the sculpture and their main emblem was lion. So one of the sculpture is having lion. So we suggest at least one or couple of sculptures are as old as of that particular period. And one I have seen, there is one anchor is hanging up in the cross. We may say that might have been just 100 years, 150 years also old. So it was a long tradition. It was not just confined to one particular time period. But this tradition is very unique in Indian subcontinent. At least I have not seen. I will. Professor Ray will tell if she has come across any such reference. One more sculpture was reported from Orissa, similar kind of, but only one was there. But here we have a 13 sculpture. Still, I believe there may be some more. And interestingly, these are in the forest area, not in the main area, forest area. So that's but along the river. So that is just quite interesting part of it.
And they always appear on top of boats.
Yes.
Like so.
Yes.
Okay.
One more thing I wanted to add here. There is a festival in Goa that is called Sangoda, where two boats will be there in the river. They will make that kind of some kind of a platform over which they are putting goddess, and they are worshipping that one, dancing and worshipping everything they are doing. So there is very unique tradition. I do not know whether this is associated with that one, but that festival is still going on. I mean, annually it is happening sometime in the month of January, December and January.
But do you think these goddesses are connected to shipbuilding, if they're close to forested areas?
Maybe that I have to look into that one particular thing, because Goa also was famous for shipbuilding, because when Portuguese came here, they in fact were interested because of shipbuilding much more in that area. teak was available plenty in this area. So maybe this point just are really interesting. I will note it.
Yeah, when you said forests, and you
Yes,
see
yes.
the goddesses on top of ships, to me it recalls more like they're focusing on the ship themselves rather than the ocean. There's just one question is related to this. I'll take this. They are wanting to know how old is the practice of worshiping goddesses like Sikotar Mata.
See, antiquity we cannot tell exactly. We got mentioned in 1856 one map that I have shown to you. But what I understand in India, we have a tradition, say something through which we are benefiting. It is, I think, quite but natural also. So we generally worship with that. So traders, as Dr. Ingo Stoch has in previous his talk, I think 9th of February, he has mentioned that Brahmi inscription, what he has found in Hak Cave, the traders have visited that particular Hak Cave. Market was Veronica in Red Sea, and one more archaeological sites. They may be, I mean, trading that those particular area, maybe coming here. They must have got a lot of profit in that one. Taking refueling like fresh water or something more at Sokotra, signing there, putting some signature, and then here they are worshipping. And 3 inscriptions, Gujarati inscription, are dated back to 17th century. In Hak Cave only, and not Hak Cave, on Sikotar Island. So at least I can say the last 300 years they must be doing this one. But in Gujarat, that is near Khambat, one temple, they are saying past 900 years they are worshipping that one. But I cannot verify that one. And mostly these temples were not patronized by some kingdom or something that kind of. So this was just community like trader community and fishing community and all. So they were not like what you are getting like 9th, 10th century temples in India, like Mahabalipuram, like your Solanki period or Khajuraho, that kind of things you are not getting. These are regularly, they are I mean, modernizing every time. So initially there may be small, some kind of offering they must be doing, but slowly they have enlarged that one.
I am going to ask Professor Himanshu to raise her question while I go through the questions now.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that very fascinating talk. As I understand it, Goa, you said there were about 13 Sikotar Mata sculptures.
No. So, not Sikotar Mata.
Okay,
Sikotar
the goddess
Mata.
on a goddess on a boat.
Yes.
Goddess on a boat.
Yes.
But you don't call her Sikotar Mata there.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Why? First, my point would be why not? And secondly, in Gujarat, the temples are there, but there are no sculptures. We don't have any images as of now. Most of the images that are there in the temples are really either Mahishasur Mardini. There are images of a deity or a goddess on a boat. So, I mean, why don't you refer to the ones from Goa as Sikotar Mata on the boat? And what is she known as if she's known by a different name?
Here, typically, we have like Mahishasur Mardini. There is one well-defined. One is a local god, what we call also is a village deity like Gram Devi or Gram Devta type of things. So I don't think that kind of concept ever came that from Sikotar Mata type of things. And you just go down to Surat, this tradition is not existing anywhere, because this I have seen in down south, like I mentioned this Dabhol and other places where they are worshipping, but not as this one at all. And other nowhere else that particular term is coming. And even Gujarat,
Yeah.
even in Gujarat also there is a Vahanvati, Harsad Mata, several such things are there. So, but Sikotar Mata is, I think, restricted to Gujarat coast only.
No. So is the term, are you saying that, see, in the first place, Mahishasura is not shown on a boat. So whether the imagery of the goddess is that of Mahishasura the iconography doesn't include a boat. That's for sure. And in this case, the ones you showed us, she is on a boat. Now, there is you have all along the coast, many religions. For example, the Portuguese church near Calcutta, that has Virgin Mary on a boat. So, are we then seeing the boat being adapted as a Vahan for a deity who was worshipped inland as something else? Now, if you say that, then why is Sikotar Mata, where is the term coming from? Is that a 100-year-old term? Is it a new term?
Again, I will tell, as an archaeology, it will be very difficult. But Sikotar Mata, if you take, there is no other alternate than the Socotra Island, what you are today are, what Ingo Strach also believe in that one, because there is no other way, there is no Sanskrit word for this one. So it must have been people were going there, and when they are coming with the good return, they have some kind of offering made. Even there is word Sri Sikotara in cave inscriptions. There are words like that.
There are no words. No, not in. Sorry, I'm extremely sorry to go on with this discussion, but I hate to disagree with Ingo Strauch, because there is no term of Sikotar Mata at Hawk Cave. You have Brahmi inscriptions. So are we sort of combining two things which are at this point very attractive to combine?
No, Professor Ray, just I will tell, in his book, he has mentioned not in Brahmi inscription, I think it is in that 17th century Gujarati inscription, there is a mention of Sri Sikotara. Sri Sikotara.
Yes, so that's, so the tradition then is about 100, 200 years old. I mean, if it's a 17th...
years, at least minimum 300 years is there. No, see, absence of evidence, you cannot say it was. Right now, we don't have evidence for it, but it might be existing much earlier to that one also.
Okay, I go ahead. Yes. Anyway, yes, up to you, Chair.
Yes, let's move on and get some questions from the audience. Yes, there's several that refer to also the goddesses, so we'll just stick to this for a while before we move on to infrastructure and the environment, which I think that were very interesting points that you brought up. So from Rajiv Nath, in 1656, Niccolo Manucci, a Venetian traveler, describes the harbor at Surat in glowing terms. He described it as the largest port in India and China, and China is one of the countries named by him in terms of the ships that used this harbor. Is there any Sikotar Mata temple at Surat?
Yes, there is that Surat is situated on the river bank of Tapi River. Just on the estuary, there is a Sikotar Mata temple. It is also mentioned in this British period map, that is 1865 map. It is mentioned that Sikotar Mata temple.
Okay. Yeah, I think that perhaps if it can be dated to the period where the Portuguese are in the region. There may be an interesting connection with the customs that the Spanish and the Portuguese have of naming their ships after any of the virgins, because they have many. So we like Nuestra Señora of something. They always have this kind of traditions. So when I saw the pictures, actually, it really did remind of some of these images that you often see also in Spanish temples. So it's quite fascinating. I would assume that it was a lot older, because I always see images and you nearly always assume this has to come from a really long time ago. So it would be nice to see a thorough debate on the origin of the tradition and see the possible aspects that we have. I want to move on now to the infrastructure bit that you discussed, because I think it was very interesting when you emphasized the importance of viewing the environment, the high tide, the low tide. I work a lot with infrastructure, and I'm very interested in the way that the environment is part of the infrastructure. But we just need to learn how to use it. And when you said that sometimes we don't need specific built infrastructure because we have the environment per se, that really resonated with what I've been doing. And so, for example, there's this question by Susan Mishra in the Q&A that asks, how many creeks are there along Saurashtra coast? Were creeks main landing places in the region? And is there any association between early temples and landing places? Also, it seems tidal changes were crucial to movement of boats, and were creeks leading inland? That will be the question.
Along the, when we are in the Gulf region, especially that is Gulf of Kutch, where Dwarka and Bet Dwarka is situated, there is you have quite, tidal range is quite significant. Mm-hmm. So, and also there is a temple. By the way, just I forget to add this one, that some of the temples also served as a watchtower, or not watchtower, I would not say, like a lighthouse for land marker. So say they are putting lamp on the top of the temple. So fishermen or navigator from the far, they can see and they can mark the place where they have to go. So many of the temple, I will take Dwarka, this your Harsad Mata, and many such temple has served as a land marker for the navigator. There are at least where we have worked more than a dozen sites along the Saurashtra coast, where we see this tidal range has been effectively used for this anchoring their boats. And it happens so that, as I showed in previous our slide also, that tide itself they have used for this, like anchoring, and then they are repairing their boat, and they are loading, unloading, and then again they are going back, because once they are doing fishing, then after 15 days only they will go back. And this I will tell, it is still happening. 50% of Gujarat boats, they are still using this tide system for their fishing purpose, because I do not know if jetties, they are charging something, this and that. So they don't want to pay, and they simply will go and land on the beaches and all those things. So that maybe they are doing. But if you look at, if you just imagine your map from Porbandar or and up to Kodinar, you will see you don't have anchors in intertidal zone. Generally, you will get offshore. That is a region is there because there is no so much tide is not there. So their boat has to float. So they will be anchoring just outside of that one. So that risk they will not take there. So this thing I've seen. So between Porbandar and Kodinar, Kodinar means around 50 km/h. You will be aware of this Diu. So Diu Island. So between this one, you will not see any stone anchors or other things, so which you will see in intertidal zone. But from Porbandar to the west and in the Cambay, you will see a lot of antiquity in the intertidal zone area.
And is there's a limitation imposed by the environment to the size, I'm assuming, to the size of the ships that can be used in the area? So how do you think that would have affected like transactions in the past? Because like if you are using that kind of system, there's only like there's going to be like a need for like shallow drafts that can be used, and I'm assuming that they won't be very like V-shaped, the ships won't be so much as V-shaped, but actually with somewhat flat bottom, and that I don't know to what extent it will be safe to load and unload cargo for the safety of the hull itself if we use this kind of system, because boats were designed to float, not to be laying on the ground. So of course there's going to be some sort of impact to it. Have you seen like any connection between the size of the ships and these kind of structures?
Yes, we have seen now exactly. I will tell based on the stone anchors. I have shown it Dwarka in intertidal zone, anchor weighing more than 500 kilo we have found from intertidal zone. That means quite a big size of boat like Arab hose could have been anchored in the intertidal zone area during high tide. So again, during high tide, they will take it back. So that you will see here. But what I have heard in bed when I was working in Porbandar area, so I used to ask them why these fishermen people, they are, anchoring their boat in the beach area. They said earlier, even quite a big size of boat, they used to take up to the beach area. And they will put one anchor in the sea, say with the long rope, where quite a good depth is there. So when again high tide is there, they will just pull the rope and then ship will move. Their boat will move. That is what they used to do. They used to say.
That's very interesting.
But present facility is such a great, they have a very good port and everything. So really it is, in fact, one thing I will tell, this program, along the Saurashtra coast, this exploration we have undertaken because of now we were losing this evidence very rapidly because of the development is happening in the coastal area. So we saw an opportunity that let us document whatever is there before we lose them completely. So in that process, we have during last 15 years, we have worked in this coast. So we have collected quite a huge amount.
Well, it's very interesting, and I really like this environmental approach. Let's call it, because you usually don't take it into account, and so you don't count the environment itself as infrastructure. But if you're using it, then it sort of becomes by de facto infrastructure. I'm going to take one more question on the environment, and we're soon going to have to wrap up. But Rajiv Nath has another question. In terms of the environment, Amit Ghosh condemns the dangers of climate change, and he cites the port at Surat as an example. He says it was probably due to the vagaries of climate change that the port of Surat was so far inland on the river. Hence, I suppose to him, it is not global warming alone that causes change in sea levels at different points in time. I don't know if you, I guess that you will have to speak for yourself and not for Amit Ghosh.
Being in oceanography, this problem we know very well. See, global warming is a recent term, and say you can put it maximum 25 to 30 years, not before that one. At the most, you can take up to say 50 years or so. We have seen many places, especially actually after LGM, there is one word you may be aware of, that last glacial maximum, when sea level has gone down to say 100, 120 meter between 18,000 to 14,000, but then it started rising very rapidly, and it reached to present level almost, you can say, around 6,000 years before. No, 7,000 years before. So then since then, it is fluctuating within just in a range of 2 to 3 meter, not more than that. But recent, say 400 to 500 years, also we are having change in sea level, say about 1 meter, 1.5 meter. I've seen there are places where if you go to that place, what is called Okhamandal, what I was telling, near Dwarka, you will see railway track is laid on a beach rock, Now presently that rock is about 1.5 kilometers from the coast. So that means sea level and height of the sea level was perhaps, now presently it is about 3 meters above the sea level. So that means sea level has gone down in that particular area. And there are also evidences in Goa at few places where during last 60 years, some places sea level has gone down, but some places is going up. So there are something like that. One cannot recent this global warming. We cannot compare with the last, say, 150 years if we are studying before that one. So that was a natural phenomena, but these are something different. I do not want to discuss more on that particular global warming aspect. But if you go to that one, we have definitely evidence during little ice age, that term is there, when Europeans were coming in India. In fact, one of the hypotheses nowadays emerging that when there was huge cold in Europe, people started migrating towards the equator side. So that was because of cold. And simultaneously from Central Asia, this Mughal also moved towards India. So this is one of the reasons they are saying maybe climatic, because a lot of environmentalists, they want to associate everything, humanity movement here and there with climatic changes. But historically, we have studied something different. So these are some of the issues. And during that time, sea level has gone down, say, about half a meter or 1 meter along. It means it was a global phenomenon. It was not, regional. It was a global phenomenon.
Yeah. What I really liked about your talk is the fact that you've been showing us repeatedly how things in the environment change, not only from day to day with the different tides, also from season to season. I'm assuming that it won't be the same when you're in the dry season than when you're in the rainy season. In the case of a tropical environment, let's call it that, or monsoonal environment kind of approach. So of course, like, there's constantly changing all the time, and then on top of that you have climatic oscillations, and of course that has been happening also in the past constantly. So it's important not to take the geography at face value, and you need to question it to make sure that what you're looking at is a little bit of what it was in the past. So I think that we should strive to be more connected to geographers and oceanographers rather than what we usually do. Because even I recognize the importance of this, but of course, we need to make better bridges between the different fields so that we get a little bit closer to the truth. I think that it's now 4:30. Well, not 4:30 in Finland, but it's 8 o'clock in India. So I think it's time to wrap up and let you all go to do your things in this very nice evening, I guess. It's very cold in Finland, though, so I envy you all, probably. Thank you so much for this really wonderful conversation that we had now at the end. Thank you to the audience members for making such very interesting questions that generate so much discussion. I want to thank the India International Center for making this happen and allowing us this platform from where to have these exchanges. Thank you to Professor Himanshu, of course, for convening this talk and for supporting and organizing all the events that have been happening throughout the full month of February. And of course, thank you, Dr. Gaur, for this really wonderful talk. It's been really nice. And I'm going to give now the talk to Professor Himanshu. She may want to have.
No, I just want to thank the chair, the speaker. Thank you, Dr. Gaur, and thank you, Veronica, for steering this. And I think it's time to close because we've had a very fruitful discussion, and we can continue to ask a whole lot of questions. I myself have a whole lot of questions to ask, but we will continue this forward. Thanks a lot. And thank you to the audience for all their questions. And I'm very sorry that we couldn't answer all of them. So good night and thanks once again.
Before I go, just one thing I wanted to add.
Yeah.
In my work, generally you will see I had a background of graduation background in geography. and working in oceanography. So both the things are reflected
Yes.
here. That is
Yeah.
indeed
No,
so-
that was,
so
yeah,
that
that
is-
was very clear. No, thank you.
Thank-
So anyway,
thank
I
you
think
so
with
much.
that,
Thank you so much.
we close the session then.
Yeah.
And good night. Good night. Yeah.